Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's the commish. Back here with, you guessed it, week 5 previews. Obviously, a lot of injuries going down, and it's going to affect some teams. So let's have a look first. Let's get into it. Robert and Templars, 3-1, taking on Brian and 12th Man, 2-2. The theme, Your Sorrow original in this one, because it's two original owners going head-to-head here, East versus West. I'm looking at Templars. Who's going to start at QB? For a minute there, it's looking like you might not start your team at Dak there. So I'm curious to see which way you go. One thing that I'm really happy to see for Robert and Templars is he's definitely not letting go of that East Division. 3-time champ. Long yards in there, obviously, the guy I predicted to be champ this year. It's going to be a tough go, but I mean, it's nice to see Robert at 3-1, especially considering I had him out of the league. So good job on his part. Next up, Brian in the 12th man. Big news for him, return of Mark Ingram, obviously, in the running game. That's going to help. And here's a guy fighting for a spot. I mean, he's one of the 11 teams, 2-2. And because of that fight and because of the return of Ingram, I'm seeing Brian in the 12th man edging this one out on Robert and Templars. Next up, I got Ryan and Longyard out of the East at 4-0 versus M Unique and Ellie Island at 2-2. The theme here, can Ryan stay on an island? I mean, he's one of only 2 teams undefeated. Sounds like good news. Le'Veon Bell will be back for week 7. What a 3-headed monster that would make at running back. And then, I'm also looking at a couple guys, Gordon and Gurley, too. Here's 2 guys with over 100 points at running back. And you also have the second best quarterback in fantasy in Jared Goff. So the future looks bright for Longyard. All these guys are young. Whereas, looking at Ellie Allen, the bright spot for her has to be beast mode. 9th best running back in fantasy, is a top 10 running back this year at 72.8 so far. I love beast mode. I love the way he runs, but it's not going to help Ellie Island here. Longyard will continue to stay on the island and go 5-0. Next up, it's going to be Krista and Storm 1-3, taking on Brandon and the Architect 1-3. I got the theme here, survival/stinker. I mean, 2 stinking teams right now, but it's also a survival game. You look, you got Storm sitting in 19th, I believe, and Architect at 17th. This is going to be tough for both teams to suffer a loss here. There's no doubt about that. Looking at the Architect, Alex Smith will come in Monday prime time. It's been a long time since the Skins play. I think they're going to come out rusty, but he is the 21st best running or quarterback still with 1 less game, so that's pretty good. Storm, considering Alex Smith 21st best with 1 less game, her quarterback's RW3. He's 22nd best, and he's played an extra game, so he's been dreadful for Storm. And also looking at Storm, Allen Robinson and Levante David on the bye here. I originally had Storm winning this one. I'm changing it. I'm going to go Brandon and the Architect. I think he finds a way to win, and it's going to be that one's going to be a fun one to watch. Those survival ones are good. Next up, it's Lucas and Green Lightning 2-2. He's taking on Sean and Fallen Misfits 1-3. Theme, how original can they be? 2 original owners, but I mean, Lucas, 2nd place finish last year. Fallen Misfits has never even made the playoffs. So it's been tough, obviously, for Sean. He just can't seem to get over the hump. No matter what he does, different strategies. But here he is sitting at 1-3. I mean, he had a great fight there near the end against Longyard. And lots of it, obviously, is thanks to Patrick Mahomes, the best player in fantasy, and a guy you're shopping. Curious to see what you want from Mahomes. I definitely probably would have tried to acquire him back if I didn't acquire Mayfield. I'm all in on Mayfield, obviously. Next up, we got it's Lucas and Green Lightning. The theme for him, healthy. Elshon Jeffrey comes back, works out. The only thing with Green Lightning here, he will have a big hole in the running game. Jordan Howard will be on the bye. But I'm still going to go with Lucas and Green Lightning winning this one. Next up, we got Matthew and Cape Cod Sharks, 3-1, taking on Milan in the 6, 2-2. See him here. Who brings the bite? It's going to be interesting to see who brings the bite in this game. Looking at the Sharks, Kamara. I mean, what a year. Number 2 in fantasy. Best running back, clearly. We will see if his numbers dip a bit with Mark Ingram coming back. That'll be interesting. Also looking at Sharks, I mean, you got Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Braid on the bye. Those are 2 key guys for sure. Looking at the 6, I mean, Barkley clearly is the real deal. 4th best running back as a rookie on a really crappy team as well offensively. But I still think Barkley's going to ride and bring the bite for the 6 in this one. I'm going the 6 and having both teams 3-2 after 5 weeks in that one. Next up, it's Luke and Too Good for a Name versus Suze and Fighting Geese, 2-2. For Luke, won the battle but lost the war, no doubt. The injuries are aplenty on your team. Again, I said it before, you're going from 2 great tight ends from Eifert and Howard, and going now with Eric Tomlinson and Garrett Selleck. That hurts. T.Y. Hilton's out. The list goes on for you. For Fighting Geese, it's the flip side at tight end. It's Ertz and Kittle, 3rd and 4th best tight end in fantasy. Obviously a strength of the team. And you got to think Breeze is going to rebound on Monday primetime after not the greatest outing last week. I originally had Luke and Too Good actually winning this one. I'm changing it now to Susan Fighting Geese going to 3-2 because of all the injuries. Next up, it's going to be Glenn and Saving Matt's Ryan at 2-2, taking on Ryan and Deuce Bombers 2-2. This one feels like a playoff game. I mean, again, the parity, 11 teams, 2-2, but you got to win these games if you're going to make the playoffs, these 2-2 versus 2-2 battles. For Saving Ryan, he's going to be missing some key IDP players. There's no doubt about it if you look. But he will acquire a good one back in Vontaze Burfict. It's going to be nice to welcome him back. Me being a Browns fan, I hate the Steelers so much. I loved it when Burfict hit Antonio Brown. Ryan and Deuce Bombers, looking at him, he's got Mike Evans on the bye. So going to be missing a key offensive player there. You traded a 5th to Dalton, and now it looks like you're going to go with Mariota. So just like me, trading quarterbacks a lot here this year, but I'm going with Ryan and Deuce Bombers here to win this one. The defending champ gets himself back in the playoff mix in this one. Next up, we got John and Nathan's Lobos. He's sitting at 1-3 versus Chris and True North, 4-0. Calling this one Mr. Perfect. Chris and True North, perfect last year in the regular season. So far, perfect here. Which is a great accomplishment considering he did trade and definitely buy last year to try to win a title. Didn't have that many picks. Looking at Lobos, you finally got a win. That's great. And, you're the 9th highest scoring team. So there's no doubt about it. You have a good team. The injury bug has not hit anyone worse than you this year. There's no doubt about it. It'll be interesting to see where you end up. For Chris and True North, again, perfect last year. Already the 3rd highest scoring team here and one of only 2 teams undefeated. And I have you staying undefeated, going to 5-0. John, too many injuries, and Chris and True North stays undefeated here. Next up, you guessed it, Stinker of the Week. Danny and Billsy Bob sitting at 0-4. He's going to take on Stanton and BC Lions 2-2. It's really elementary, Watson, in this one. Billsy Bob's is the only winless team, and Deshaun Watson's there, obviously, and really being dead last in scoring, 0-4. The only bright spot for Danny in this one is Julian Edelman returns Thursday night primetime. You know he's going to be hungry in fantasy. So I look for him to have a big night. But, looking at BC Lions, why is he in the Stinker at 2-2? He's the 19th team in scoring, right next to Billsy Bob. So a team that definitely, I think, could be in trouble. The return of Julian is going to be like the return of the Jedi, I think, for Danny and Billsy Bob's. And Billsy Bob's is going to get off the schneid and win one here against Stanton and BC Lions is the prediction. which should make things interesting moving forward for survival. Next up, it's the game of the week, and I picked it myself to commish at 2-2 versus Chris and Bastion Street Bullies 2-2. It's a South must win. Part of the reason why this one's game of the week is just because, let's face it, it's one of the only, I think it is the only divisional game, and it's a game that pretty much could be for first in the South at this point in the season. For Bastion Street Bullies, Superman is back. Be interesting to see if you go with him over Rosen. You got to think you will. You're a team that definitely has a lot of tight end depth. You got Gesicki there, who might be getting more time. Hurst may be coming back from injury, so lots of depth there for you at tight end. For me, is Mayfield the answer? Remains to be seen. I like what I see from Mayfield, but again, he's just a rookie, so I can't expect too much, but I think he's going to be a great keeper moving forward. The biggest disappointment on my team so far, obviously, Odell Beckham, no touchdowns. Even though he's got no touchdowns, I'm definitely not giving up on Odell Beckham. I think he's going to have a monster game here soon and have a 4-touchdown game or something like that. Maybe it's this time, but for now, I have Bullies to win. And then, you know what? I'm changing it right now. As I'm thinking about it, Beckham, no touchdowns. I think Beckham's going to explode. I think I win. So I'm changing it right now on my sheet. Commish wins. Anyways, guys, I hope you have an awesome week 5. I'm looking forward to watching football yet again.